just want to adjust myself. I'm in my room.
Okay, no problem, no problem.
I think I appear, yes, professionally.
Yes,
Though I'm not in black and white.
No, that's not a problem. At least it's the weekend, so you are relaxing. I fully understand.
I'm at home, man.
Yeah, yeah. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for giving me your time. I know you are very busy, but thank you for giving me the opportunity to actually have an interaction with you.
Yes, thank you so much, man.
All right.
Even for the opportunity as well to participate in your program. I'm very thrilled that there is a student who's thinking out of the box, especially in this dispensation of artificial intelligence. We need people of your caliber. If you go to my profile on Facebook, you'll discover that in 2 years ago, I wanted to have something like a legal magazine. Yeah. But when you send me your message, I felt like this guy has thought more than what I thought in the past.
2 years ago. Thank you very much, Advocate, for those remarks. I'd like to jump to the first question just to get to know you.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you please tell us who is Advocate T. Sellem? Just give us a brief personal and professional background of yourself.
Advocate T. Sellem, man, my full name is firstly, I'm Tenjwa Sellem. I'm Tenjwa Sellem. Cape. I'm a Xhosa guy, and I'm one of the graduates of the University of Fort Hare, which is very important in my life. And I'm very proud to be one of the graduates of that particular institution. I started working in the same university. I was a tutor doing the law of contract, tutoring the third year level students from year 2000 up until 2002. Okay. And I moved on from there to the NPA. I work as an intern prosecutor, graduated into the prosecutor for the district court, and moved on from there to regional court, to high court, and even to a specialized unit of the same institution in the commercial side as the high court specialist then, until 2017. I did work for the Legal Aid Board as well as an attorney with the right of appearance at district court, regional court, and there are other institutions that I work for. I was one of the activists in the union. I don't want to mention the union, but I did a lot of work in the labor-related issues. Yeah. You know, labor issues are always issues of disputes. Yeah. No wonder I don't want to talk about that particular union, because I don't want people to view me from the other side. But the most critical thing, which is essential for me to mention, is the fact that I'm also a specialist in relation to labor matters as well. Currently, I'm the head of the Advocate Tenjwa Sellem chambers here in Perea in East London. We are the advocates there that fall under the umbrella of NPCSA. NPCSA is one of the institutions that was undermined in the past, advancing the interest of Black professionals, especially extricating them from working without getting salaries, being advocates, especially from the disadvantaged backgrounds. I joined that institution, and in 2017, up to date. Yeah. And I'm very proud to say that I'm the member of one of the most important historically in South Africa institutions that house a lot of advocates throughout the Republic of South Africa. There is a lot that I can say about myself. I'm a pastor. When it comes to religious issues, I'm leading a church here in East London, Gospel Pilos Church. I'm also a head of the legal department of the men's movement against GBV. It is also around the Eastern Cape, the entire Eastern Cape, but mostly we are housed in East London here in the province, BCMM. I'm a very friendly person, as you can see. But when it comes to court issues, I'm a researcher. I make a lot of mistakes, just like all other legal practitioners. I don't want to say I'm purely a silver and a gold kind of a person. But what makes me outstand is the fact that I'm a researcher and I'm a hard worker all the time. I make it a point that I don't only advance my own interests, but in everything that I'm doing, I put first the interest of my clients. These are the people that make me wake up in the morning and have water to drink and be able to go into my workplace and come back home as well. I'm a father. I'm a father of 3 kids, and I'm a husband to someone as well. So I'm a man.
No, advocate.
Yes.
You have quite a lot going on in your life, and I must say, all the activities that you're involved in are quite impressive. You are involved in a lot of things. And I like the fact that you have worked for the NPA, meaning you have like some sort of experience in criminal matters, which fall under the umbrella of this subject matter for today's topic, which is GBV. So there's a current increase in the cases of gender-based violence as well as violent crimes in South Africa. Would you say, according to your observations as a lawyer, as a citizen, what are the factors that contribute to the rise of gender-based violence?
Gender-based violence, man, it remains to be a problem in South Africa. I fully agree with in his statement to say that the second pandemic that we have in the country is GBV. There are so many factors that contribute to that. Firstly, I'm a stand believer that man was created to work. I'm talking man as a male in this instance. I'm not saying women are not created to work, but I'm trying to come up with the factors that exacerbate the GBV. Most of the men out there lack job opportunities. In other words, they are unemployed. That creates a big problem. We have your affirmative action, which favors our women. I give the government an applause for that. That gives most of the women an upper hand when it comes to employment issues. They are preferred as opposed to men. When most of the men do not work and are home-based, which is something which is against what's supposed to be the case, because they're supposed to be working. They get frustrated. I'm not a psychologist, but these are the things that I work with on a daily basis. I experience these things. And the problem starts at home. When there's a problem, men in most instances do not open up when they are frustrated, as opposed to women. Women talk, women consult, and women are able to go and investigate and allow other people to come in their lives. But men are some kind of concave. They don't want to open up. That creates a lot of problem. Once they are frustrated, they begin to vent out their anger in a negative fashion. One of the things that I also observed, besides the question of unemployment, is a love issue, love affairs. Most of the women currently have got a culture and the tradition of depending on men or allowing men to support them. Some of these men develop some kind of ownership of over the women. These are the issues that has to be addressed on social level. Once they develop that claim over a woman, one day that woman perhaps will have another relationship with another man. The next thing that you hear about, that woman died, was shot to death. The issue of divorces as well. Currently, what I observe, the rate of divorce has increased as well.
Yeah.
I won't say what perpetuate that, but of course, divorce is also one of the issues that has to be addressed. We have counselors in churches, we have counselors in the form of social workers, psychologists, and so forth. As I've already alluded to this fact, men are resistant in getting such help.
Yeah.
That makes them vulnerable. They are more vulnerable than women. I know the notion out there is that women are vulnerable compared to men, but when it comes to GBV, you will agree with me that the perpetrators of this are mostly men, because men do not, most of them, you will never find them in church. Most of them, you will never find them consulting with psychologists.
Yeah.
That means there is a lot of lack of education. There is a lot of lack of mentorship as well, because you begin to carve men at the earliest ages when that man is a boy. If we fail to do that, if we fail to set a pace as men and draw a line of leadership, that means we will always get shocked when these things happen.
Yeah.
Another area where you find a gray ground when it comes to this issue relates to traditions. There are people who believe in witchcraft. And in most instances, their target is the old age. Because GBV, it goes across the board. It affects almost everyone, from the kids up to the old age, our elderly people. When it comes to traditions, you know, when a person ages, they begin to talk to themselves. Sometimes they begin to get delirious. All those things, to those who believe in witchcraft and so forth, they are the signals that that person is a witch. And you will discover that recently we have 2 or 3 stories. I'm talking about the period, the COVID-19 period. 2 or 3 instances whereby elderly people, especially women, were killed brutally by men. There are so many issues, man. The list is endless. Otherwise, we might end up like spending almost the whole day on the same topic. But I think it suffices to highlight these few. But there is a lot that is involved. And alcohol as well. Alcohol is playing a major role, negative and adverse role. It's not a major role in the positive, but it's a negative and adverse role. There are people who look so calm when they are not intoxicated and under the influence of liquor and drugs as well. But immediately those people are under the influence, they begin to act like worse than animals in a brutal fashion as against others. So there's a lot of factors, man, that are involved there. GBV is one of the pandemic. I also align myself with the president when it comes to that issue.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Advocate, for that submission. You've highlighted some of the most important parts, especially the one that relates to tradition, because I never even thought about it. But you've just proved that
Yes,
GPV emanates from various sources within society. Now, my next question
yes.
is, as a lawyer, someone who specializes with the law, do you think our current legal framework does it address enough the issue of gender-based violence, our law as it is, as it stands currently?
Man, I will go to one example when it comes to that answering that question. It's a very important question. Look, there's a story here of a lady who felt like threatened by her husband. She woke up, it was in the evening. Bear in mind, this person is not a legal practitioner, and went to the police station to ask for the police officers to assist her to get an interim protection order. Bear in mind that in terms of the protection, the Domestic Violence Act, that act empowers or enjoins the judiciary to issue such particular orders. The police officers, instead of looking at the crime that is committed at the house of that woman, because this woman comes with the problem of asking for an interim protection order. The police officers, they tell the woman to go back home and go to the magistrate court in the next or following day. The following day, the gentleman wakes up in the morning. That means the perpetrator. He shoots the lady to death immediately and shoots himself to death. Both of them die right there at the scene. If you Google around the internet, you will get the story. It's a live story. It's not hypothesis. What I learned from there in answering your question is that we do have the law,
Yeah.
but the law enforcement officers at times, or if not in most instances, are unable to unlock the law and to utilize the law. When it comes to the Domestic Violence Act, one of the provisions that is not utilized is the provision that relates to making the act itself of violence as an act of agency. In High Court, when we talk about the cases of agency, you will discover that there is a judge available 48 hours, 24 hours.
Yeah.
In the magistrate courts, the opposite is just there. You won't find magistrates or on standby specifically for GBV related issues. That is the issues that are encapsulated in your Domestic Violence Act, your Sexual Offences Act, and so forth and so forth. You won't find magistrates available. That means the act, firstly, is not understood the way it is. It has been drafted.
Yeah.
We have a problem there. That if we can effect the act as it is. The other thing, we have sentences, but such sentences are not sufficient.
Yeah.
You get someone who has committed Domestic Violence Act, that person will be treated as if the conduct he or she has committed is no less than just your normal assault GPH. The act the acts that we have, or the law, the legislature that we have, I would say is not sufficient. And besides the insufficiency, there is a lot of work to be done when it comes to the people who are supposed to implement such particular provisions that are there. I mean, what we have at this moment could work, but unfortunately, there is a lot that has to be done in order to perfect what we have on table.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Advocate. I like the fact that you also did not just focus on the part of legislation, but also went about to the law enforcement officials, which demonstrate some sort of incompetence in dealing with matters of
Yes.
gender-based violence as well as domestic violence in particular.
Yes.
I like that point. It's very powerful. Now, the president of the country on the 7th of September, he issued a letter to the public addressing this issue of GBV and mentioned that there's
Yes.
three key bills which are in Parliament, which are aimed at fighting gender-based violence. I would just like to name
Yes.
them. It's the Criminal Law, Sexual Offences and Related Matters Amendment Bill, as well as the Criminal
Yes.
Law and Related Matters Bill, as well as the Domestic Violence Amendment Bill. So a lot is happening there. For instance, the list of rape offenders will be made public, and they are
Yes.
proposed harsher sentences for violent crimes as well as sexual crimes. There's also going to be harsh
Yes.
conditions for bail applications. Do you think these legislative instruments, when they come into effect, will they be enough, or a lot more needs to be done beyond just addressing this issue on a legislative stance?
I'm not going to put my head on the block and say the legislation is going to be enough.
Yeah.
But I will say this, that there's a pivotal role the legislature is going to play when it comes to mitigating, because we can go as far as mitigating the GBV. The reason why I'm saying this is because there is a lot of groundwork to be done. Currently, right, I think after the president has made that announcement, there was a constitutional court case. It's a pity that I didn't cram the citation as such, but I do believe the legal practitioners will listen to this, will agree with me. In terms of that particular judgment, a finding was made that common purpose in rape cases has to be incorporated, just like as you normally wait for someone to kill another and finish him up, and participating in that killing of that person without touching that individual, but watching for the people, so that even in rape cases, penetration now is becoming a history of yesterday. You won't have to prove that a person was penetrated by a specific instrument, including a penis. But even if I go with you and you come to grab a lady, instead of me intervening and assisting the lady, I begin to look around for the people so that you finish up with the rape itself. I will be guilty as much as you are guilty. Both of us will be, in terms of the doctrine of common purpose, be found guilty on the same basis, and we are going to get the sentences that are harsh, with the minimum sentence act being applicable in the circumstances. So my answer to that question is, I appreciate the role that the legislature is playing. I appreciate the endeavors of the president, but bear in mind, GBV is a second pandemic. I think that definition says it a lot.
Yes.
What I can say, we have to do our own efforts as communities. We have to make it a point that we assist in terms of capping this animal, aggressive animal.
Yeah.
We must make it a point that from home, we ingrain a culture of morals, a culture of ethics, a culture of integrity, a culture of values, so that when kids grow up, male and females, they will grow up being the people of integrity.
Yeah.
That is what we have to do as the society. If we just want to rely on the law and the law exclusively, bear in mind there are cases that are not even reported, but those cases have taken place. Unfortunately, no one is able or dares approaching the law enforcement officers to report such cases. Other cases, they will be reported, but the perpetrator will not be known. I mean, like, we have to start it from home and go out to the society and go out as a nation. We have to be in collaboration as a nation when it comes to this issue and work together, so that even the bills that you have alluded to have an impact, a positive impact. The objectives thereof are realized at the end of the day. Otherwise, we will be chasing that proverbial fly that will win to the infinite.
Yes. Wow. Thank you so much, Advocate. I like the fact that you are pronouncing very much and putting so much emphasis on the collective efforts, in the sense that we should not only leave this task to the legislature, because you did mention also the doctrine of common purpose being applied in rape cases now. That was a judicial pronouncement, and I think it was really important. It was a really important.
It's very critical.
Yes. So now gender-based violence and as well as crime in general has many faces. And as you mentioned, that it emanates from different sources also in society. So what do you think, for instance, attempts can be made by communities, by government departments such as the Department of Basic Education, Higher Education, Department of Social Development, as well as churches, since you are also a pastor? What attempts can these different stakeholders in society play in fighting this pandemic of GBV?
What is most important is that, for instance, if we talk about the Department of Education, of course, we have a lot of gap between the public sector employees and your ordinary communities on the ground. We need to close that gap. The society and those that are working in the government must develop some kind of collaboration. They must work hand in glove. It must start from homes. People should stop, that culture that says, if I happen to rape your child and you are my brother, that says, no, don't take him to court. Let's solve it as a family. Let's deal with this issue as a family. These instances of this nature must come to an end. Immediately there is an incident of GBV. People must make it a point that it is reported to the relevant authorities. We have NPOs, we have like your churches, and we have government institutions. We've got the infrastructure here, but all that we need to do is to work hand in glove. We have to go beyond the question of drafting policies, the question of having constitutions, to the question of being the doers of what we have. We must speak the same language as people, and stop looking at people from how small quality of working together as a country. There's nothing that can overcome unison. There's nothing that can overcome oneness. If the government institutions are working hand in glove with people, that is perfect. I like the concept of having counselors around the communities, but unfortunately, in this dispensation, such councillors are politically aligned. We need to have more or less similar institutions, people that will be the ear and the hand of the government amongst the people, the communities. Of course, we can't go to the office of the Department of Education as million people of South Africa. But when we have people that are linked to such institutions from our societies, the people that we deem as leaders, we can confide on those people and allow these people to act as our conduit and our mouthpieces, even to interact with the government. The same applies with the government institutions. You know, there's nothing that takes my heart down, man. Like when you go to a specific office, when you get to that office, someone is just playing WhatsApp in her computer, but makes you to sit down on the chair, on the bench there, waiting for 30 minutes. They don't know how distraught you are. They don't know how emotional you are. We need an environment that is accommodative and loving and affable environment. I'm trying to be romantic deliberately. We need that kind of an environment so that people, when you go for help in any institution, whether it is station, whether it is the Department of Education, or any other institution in the public sector, including the private sector, you must go there with a heart that says, today I'm gonna get help. And when you get there, you must get there and be warmly welcome as a person from the communities. You know, our people are afraid of our own authorities. They are afraid to go and express their heartfelt, their deepest the feelings from their recess of their hearts. They are afraid because the treatment they get there is totally unwelcome and is unbecoming. We need institutions that cherish and understands the society that we are. And we need the society that understands even the institution. We need to strike a unison. We need to be one. The government must be absorbed into one solution with the society. You know, when you combine sugar and water, you will never be able to water. Everything becomes one. We need that kind of solution, even right now. If we mean business to fight anything against GBV, otherwise GBV cannot be controlled as long as we remain disintegrated as the society. We remain diverse as the society. We might be diverse, but our diversity must be our point of capitalizing on anything that is negative. Let's work together when it comes to uprooting these negative things in our society.
Well, thank you so much, Advocate. I like the fact that you mentioned how people have somewhat lost confidence in public institutions that are there to assist them with these issues, because we do have the infrastructure, but we lack initiative in terms of government officials to also enforce, which them, besides being there, they're also members of the community. I like the fact that you mentioned initially that you also part of a movement of men in the Eastern Cape, particularly in East London, that try to address gender-based violence. Can you take us through that initiative and also mention what do you do? Do you run campaigns? And so far, what have you done thus far in trying to curb this whole gender-based violence trend?
We are men. We have identified that the source of GBV is men. Mostly, I'm not excluding women and other categories of men, of human beings out there. But we have come to a point that men should stand up and begin to mentor the boys and begin to conduct themselves and to comport themselves in a manner that is acceptable to women. It's high time that women will be able to walk right in the middle of the night. And when they come across a man in the street, they must begin to be filled with confidence that here is my protector. Here is my security. Here is someone who's going to make me warm. Instead of trembling and getting afraid and terrified when they look at men in the middle of the night and think about being victimized. We are that kind of a movement. Recently, even during this COVID-19, we observed that the GBV rate was just skyrocketing. Here in East London, we struggled. I must say this. Even ourselves, being the leaders, the people that are trying to pioneer this particular fight against GBV, we came across some stereotypes there. People who even capitalize on the COVID-19 regulations to say that these regulations do not allow you to do A, B, and C. Yet GBV, the people that are perpetrating it, they're irrespective of your COVID-19 regulations, they continue to do that. It's something that boggles our minds when it comes to that issue, that you will be prohibited from doing your campaigns and because of certain regulations, yet the perpetrators are just free to do whatever they wish to do during the same period. We struggled, but unfortunately, at the end of the day, we managed to get away. I'm talking about the recent activity that we had in East London, here in the Eastern Cape. We managed to have our campaign. We had to cloth it in the form of it's a prayer against GBV, because we were also compelled to align to the regulations that are there in so far as COVID-19 is concerned, because we don't want to be seen as if we are lawbreakers when we say our agenda is against GBV, is against the criminalities that we have in our society. So we do campaigns. We are in the pipeline currently. We are going to have an educative imbizo, some kind of where we are going to talk about the issues of divorce and other issues that are salient in combating GBV, acts of GBV. There is a lot that we are doing there as men. As for me, I'm part and parcel of the legal department of that movement. We have Reverend Kolamzi. He is the one who's heading this. He is not the only person anyway. I don't want to mention all of them. There's a lot of people throughout the Eastern Cape. We have Amapansula. Last time I came across Amapansula was when I was young. I was very thrilled that there is a group of Amapansula, and these are elderly people, they're matured men who are against GBV. We have scooters. The guys that normally travel with scooters, they are also part and parcel of this movement. There is a lot of people that are involved. Even we are gunning to a level where the government will be working hand in glove with us. Of course, we don't have money. It's not possible to fight these things if you don't have resources. But we do believe that as the time goes by, people will see the need to invest, to throw some donations and other stuff, so as to facilitate whatever that we are doing. Currently, we are just doing whatever that we can do out of our own pockets. Of course, everyone has got dry pockets right now due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but we do all that we can, sweating for the good cause of our society, because we love children, we love our women, we love men as well, because I don't want to appear as if I'm excluding them. We love them. And our wish is that all of us will come to the same center point of being the people of love in South Africa, so that peace will reign in our country.
Yes. Well, I must say, Advocate, that is quite an impressive initiative that you've started with your colleagues, as well as the Reverend that you've just mentioned. I hope that it grows and it becomes a success, and it reaches a point whereby it also attracts young men who are very fond in terms of age, so that it grooms them from an early age. All the success that you wish for, I just wish that it can be successful. And I'm thrilled also. I think I'll be in touch with you so that I can join in a way, just to expand the influence that it has. Since I'm still a student, maybe I can be pivotal in spreading such awareness in the student community. So that was my last question to you. I'll just thank you so much for availing yourself and taking your time to have this session with me. Yes. Thank you very much.
Perhaps
Advocate.
during the course of the day, you could have caught me in black and white.
Yeah.
That's our uniform.
Yeah, I fully understand. I see your pictures. You're usually wearing black and white, in your robe and all that stuff, looking like a true lawyer.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much, Advocate. Thank you so much.
God bless you. Cheers.